At this moment, I'd like to introduce staff. Is Sally there or?
Hey Tom, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I can't see you. So I'd like to introduce Sally Thigpen, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation. Aaron Reese, City Arborist, and Haley Hopkins, Long Range Planner. I can't see Aaron if he's there, but so. And then I'd like to have each one of the commissioners introduce themselves. And I'll start. I'm Tom Boland, Wilmington Tree Commission Chair. And again, welcome. So who's next?
Terry Parham,
Rhonda Waterhouse.
Jean Fisher,
Kate Cardamom.
Okay. And do we have any other guests here today?
Hey, Tom, Travis Henley from Planning.
Hello, Travis.
Hey, Tom, I'm Pat O'Manny. I'm also with Planning.
Oh, great. Nice meeting you both, and thank you for coming to our meeting. So with that, number one, I'd like to say thank you for conducting the meeting last month without me. I think you guys did a great job. I want to recognize Haley in pulling together our summary. I think that's the first time I saw it. So it's a great summary of what we've done. And, I think we've accomplished a lot and looking forward to accomplishing some great things in this new year. So, yes, I'd like to recognize Haley for that. But yet I'd also want to do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
I motion to approve minutes.
I
Thanks,
second.
Rhonda.
Second.
Thanks, Terry. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Well, so moved. All right. So Haley, just to confirm, I'm the only one remote right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so the next topic on the agenda is a presentation from the City of Wilmington Planning and Development Department on tree ordinance and enforcement. So I'd like to turn it over to Patrick and Travis.
All right. I'll kick it off. I got it. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think it'd be easier if I probably just stay seated. Thank you. If that's all right with everybody.
Yep.
All right. So here's our agenda. I will say that I'm going to cover the first 4 items on the agenda, but I've only got about 30% of the slides. So we're going to move from, who are the players, kind of what are our parameters for regulating trees, and then Pat is going to take over and talk about the actual process of how we enforce our tree regulations and getting involved. Just to level set for everybody, we try to start most of our presentations this way. What's up on the screen in blue is the city of Wilmington. I'm assuming everybody here probably knows this already, just in case. Oh, happened. Sorry, I forgot that I had things. So there we go. Not sure why that happened. What's listed up there in blue is the city of Wilmington. Anything that is outside of the areas marked in blue, while it may have a Wilmington address, is not within the city of Wilmington and is not subject to any of our tree retention standards. It'd be subject to the counties or Wrightsville Beach, Carolina Beach, Curie Beach, wherever else. There's even parts of Pender County that have a Wilmington address, but it's not us. So I'm going to move lost talk there for a second. So all of our development regulations are sourced from our comprehensive plan. And our comprehensive plan right now is called Create Wilmington. It was adopted in 2016. And it set the vision for all of our development regulations that followed. We also have special area plans and department specific plans. You know, Parks and Rec has a master plan. We are working right now. You've probably heard us talk about a greater downtown plan. Those all help zoom in various places in the city where we really want to do a deep dive, understand specific challenges, and all of that leads into the land development code and our technical standards that dictate how development is built. By virtue of North Carolina general statutes, localities in North Carolina are required to have a comprehensive plan if we want to enforce any zoning regulations at all. That is a relatively new requirement statewide. However, for the coastal area of the state, or if you are familiar with the term CAMA, the 20 coastal counties, the 20 CAMA counties have been required to have a land use plan since 1972. It has only recently been extended to the rest of the state. I don't know why I'm scrolling on my laptop and not this.
Travis,
Yes, sir.
question. How often is the comprehensive plan updated? Is there a requirement for that, or is it up to each individual community?
So that's a good question. What the state says is that your land use plan or comprehensive plan must be reasonably updated. It does not tell us what reasonably updated means. I think the general rule of thumb is that every 10 years or so, you should be looking at an update. As soon as our greater downtown plan is done, our next major project from a long range planning perspective is an update to the Create Wilmington comprehensive plan. But those efforts can take, multiple years.
Right.
Writing Create Wilmington and getting it adopted took over 3 years. We
Gotcha.
hope to not take that long this time, but that's just the way it goes. There are many localities throughout the region, throughout the state that are working off of comprehensive plans that are more than 20, 25 years old. And as of right now, it's okay until the courts tell us otherwise. Does that answer the question, Tom?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Why regulate trees? I don't know that I have to explain any of this to anyone in this room, but aesthetic benefits, environmental protection, economic impacts, health and well-being, of course, are all but a few of the many benefits that trees provide. North Carolina is what's called a Dillon Rule state. Dillon Rule states it's a paradigm of where local government gets its authority from. In a Dillon Rule state, every power that a local government has and that it can use is expressly authorized by the state government. That is in contrast to a home rule state, which South Carolina is the closest home rule state to us, where the local governments can do anything they like unless the state tells them they can't. We are a Dillon Rule state. Virginia is a Dillon Rule state. Those are the two that I have the most experience with. And where we derive our authority to regulate trees is both in Chapter 160A and 160D. Those are two separate chapters around land use, local government powers for cities.
How do you spell Dylan?
Dillon.
Okay.
I know.
Now the NCGS, that's North Carolina, what, government services or
General statutes.
statutes? Okay, thank you. I get lost in some of the acronyms.
Oh, believe me, we do too. That is not a unique experience.
Okay,
Here in Wilmington and here in New Hanover County, that is not necessarily complicated, but there's an extra level to talk about, and that is House Bill 749 from the year 1987, which I'm going to read this off because it's kind of dense. The County of New Hanover and all municipalities therein are authorized to enact ordinances to regulate the removal of trees from public and private property within their respective jurisdictions in order to preserve, protect, and enhance one of the most valuable natural resources of the community and to protect and enhance the public health, safety, and welfare of its citizens. That is unique for us.
That's still in effect.
As far as we know, yes. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't worked, I've been with the city, it was what, 2 years last week? I didn't know that this existed until about a month ago.
And it doesn't look like it exists sometimes, right?
Well, in terms of what the state authorizes us to do versus what we actually do, those are two different things as well. And I'm gonna come back to this because there's, like most planning items, there's a lot of nuance to it. We also, of course, just because the state authorizes us to do things, that doesn't mean that there aren't limits. There are constitutional concerns related to particularly the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. The notion of a regulatory taking by virtue of regulations that we put into place and it reducing or diminishing all economic value that you might have as a private property owner. There are, of course, state preemptions as well with regard to agricultural activities, the construction of utilities, disaster declarations and emergency situations. There are due process concerns. For those that don't know, I taught in basically a very entry-level land use planning course in UNCW's Master of Public Administration program last semester. And we spent an entire 3-hour session just on this. And even that was glossing over. In real planning programs, they do have entire classes that are just about this. There are all kinds of different things. And every Supreme Court session, they change something, or every North Carolina Supreme Court session, they change something. And so we're constantly having to make sure that, we're locked in and we're not going to get ourselves sued. And then finally, I almost did it again. The most recent, the Helene Recovery Bill, Senate Bill 382, that was passed last year, included a pretty unrelated provision that limited our ability to downzone property. A lot of what's up here on the screen was already in general statute, but I want to call your attention to number 3. Downzoning includes the definition of any creation of a nonconformity on land that is not in a residential zoning district, including a nonconforming use, nonconforming lot, nonconforming structure, nonconforming improvement, or nonconforming site element. What that means, we're still trying to figure it out.
I'm glad. I thought it was me.
But nonconforming, what nonconforming means, thank you, Haley. When we say nonconforming, that means that something was built legally under old standards and then becomes, if we change our standards, it becomes impossible to build today. So say I build a 40-foot tall building and then, we as the city of Wilmington change the zoning and say, now we only want 30-foot tall buildings. Well, I've already built my 40-foot tall building. I can keep my 40-foot tall building, but I can't build it again if I tear it down.
You're like grandfather did.
That's effectively, yes. So what it's saying is we can no longer change our ordinances to create those situations. We just can't change them at all. Where this bill and that provision intersects with both our authority to regulate trees by virtue of statute and our authority to regulate trees by that local act from 1987 is still, we're still figuring out. Legal has that question. They are in the process of determining what the answer is. But until we know that answer, we're sort of sitting here in no man's land with everything,
So,
not just the trees. Yes, Tom.
so what you're saying is that if we make the removal of trees more stringent, that cannot happen right now?
It depends. Um, if we made it an incentive, we feel pretty confident that we can do it. If we
Okay.
made it a hard and fast rule, again, without having legal's determination, I'm
Yeah.
sitting here telling you my opinion.
That's,
Um,
yeah,
with-
understood.
But generally, yes, I think if we made it a hard and fast rule, that would be legally dubious at best right now.
That, that would be considered down zoning then.
Yes, that is our thought, that it could be.
Could be, yes, yes. Based upon your understanding as of today with a more legal guidance to come.
Correct. And if we get that legal guidance, we will be sure to share it with you.
Okay.
Anyway, not to leave you on a really down note, but this is where I transitioned to Pat. I've been your warm-up act. It was very great. Pat, take it away.
Thank you. I'm gonna take the mouse.
Yeah.
My name's Pat. I am the planning manager for development review for the city. That's a fancy term for saying I review site plans and projects that come into the city. So anything that you see that's kind of being built out there now, it comes through us in planning. We review it for compliance and ensure that it's meeting all the city codes. And the way we're kind of set up is Travis's team, they, like he mentioned, they do the comprehensive planning for the city, which then trickles its way into ordinance changes and code changes and regulation changes that we enforce when we're reviewing plans that come into the city. So I'm going to walk you through, and like Travis said, he taught a course and kind of glossing over this. I'm trying to go over about 130 pages of land development code in like 10 slides. So there's a lot of details and a lot of nuance in these, but I'm going to try and hit the high points and kind of show you what the review process is, how we classify trees, what are our code requirements for taking trees out, what are our replanting and landscaping requirements, and then just some general information on how to track projects that are out there right now that are currently being built and just how to stay up to date on things. So we have a review process, and it's kind of, there's two different paths that we follow. One is a by right development. Easiest way I give an example is if you're zoned commercial and it allows for a restaurant use and you come in and want to build a Bojangles on that site, you can build a Bojangles. You still have to meet our code. You have to meet landscaping requirements, parking requirements, things like that, stormwater. You don't have to go to a public hearing. You don't have to go to planning commission and city council. There's no real public input in that process. If you want to build it's the same as if you want to build a shed in your backyard, you're zoned residential and you're allowed to have a shed in your backyard. You don't have to go to planning commission and city council for that. Versus an entitlement process is when something either requires a zone change, you have to rezone to do what you want, or there's a special use permit, which we see very rarely. Those have more public input opportunities. So you'll be going through the process, usually through planning commission and city council, 2 separate hearings. So there's kind of 2 different ways that we look at reviews of plans. They eventually all filter down to our TRC. And I'm sorry, Tom, I'm gonna get heavy into the acronyms probably in this. TRC is Technical Review Committee, and it's made up of us in planning, parks, urban forestry, that Sally sits on our TRC. We have Cape Fear Public Utility Authority, city engineering, traffic, transportation, a whole host of others that sit on our TRC to ensure that all site plans that are submitted and reviewed meet the requirements of the city and any other entities such as CFPUA and CDOT and others. So that's just a brief overview of kind of how everything operates. Like I said.
So Pat, just sorry to interrupt. Can you go back just one slide for a minute?
Thank you.
All right, so by right development and entitlements, both processes then flow into technical review committee. The by right development doesn't automatically go and bypass technical review, correct?
Correct. They all filter down to the TRC level. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. So when we get down to the TRC level for projects, we require tree surveys be submitted for all TRC projects. They have to indicate the size and species of the tree. It has to be done by a licensed arborist, surveyor, or landscape architect. And in that process, we work with applicants to try and save trees best we can, understanding there are some constraints as to, land development that Travis mentioned, and trying to factor in other departments' requirements, such as like stormwater. Stormwater is a big thing. Their requirements, it's very flat here. Obviously, we all know it's very flat. So grading of a site leads to a lot of tree removal sometimes is what we see, that in order for water to flow to the stormwater facility on site, it requires grading, it requires fill. So we see that quite a bit, especially here being by the coast and the water table that we have. One thing that we do have the ability to do through the TRC is adjust setbacks and landscaping requirements in other areas to save trees. I'll have an example here in a little bit to kind of show you. I drew a very rudimentary site plan to try and show you some of those opportunities, but we do have flexibility to save trees within the code. So we have the ability to loosen other requirements in places to save existing trees. And we do that. We've been doing that quite a bit lately. So getting into what are protected trees and what we were talking about when we're looking for trees shown on a site plan, we have protected trees listed on that table. Everything in that table is a protected tree, and there's 3 different classes. There's a regulated tree, a significant tree, and a specimen tree. Regulated trees that are on site and they're removed for essential site improvements don't require mitigation. So those regulated trees, for instance, a 6-inch dogwood, if it's removed, it's in a parking area or in the building footprint, it can be removed without mitigation.
Mitigation meaning replanting?
Yes.
Or
Replanting or payment in lieu of mitigation sometimes is an option. Sometimes there's no space. We have a lot of infill development, small sites. So sometimes replanting isn't an option. There just isn't space, especially kind of in the core urban areas. There is a mitigation fee of $175 per inch of mitigation required.
So it's based on the caliper?
Based on the caliper, yep, and it's at a 200% rate. So if you remove, let's say, a significant tree and a specimen tree, those require mitigation. I'll use a dogwood again, a 10-inch dogwood would be a significant tree. If you remove that, it's a rate of 200% mitigation. So you take that 10-inch dogwood times it by 2, that's 20 inches of mitigation that you have to replant or do a payment in lieu of planting.
so 20
So-
times 175.
Right.
So are you saying 20 inches on one species, on one tree, or 20 inches on 10 2-inch trees?
They can do it a variety of ways. So if they wanted to plant 10 2-inch dogwoods, they could do, give a math here, 4 5-inch dogwoods. Any combination of the two, you could do planting and mitigation. We see that quite a bit. Usually when we're seeing these plans, we're seeing a list of trees for mitigation. It'll come out to maybe like 250 inches of mitigation required. And then you start figuring out through the process, okay, how are you going to mitigate this? Is it going to be through replanting? Is it going to be through a payment in lieu of planting?
Do you ever just say no? You can't, like that tree is too old, it can't be replaced, you can't cut it down? Do you ever just say no?
We have the specimen tree, which is a live oak, pond cypress, bald cypress, and longleaf pine over 24 inches. Those require Board of Adjustment approval to remove. I cannot administratively say, yes, you can remove that tree. They have to go to Board of Adjustment and make their case through a quasi-judicial, which is a fancy way of saying it's like a court proceeding. They have to state evidentiary facts as to why this tree has to be removed, and it's up to the Board of Adjustment to issue that approval.
And do they ever say no?
I don't know off the top of my head if they've said no. I know there were a few recently that I think they had sort of said no as a conditional no. But I can't recall off the top of my head any ones recently, but I can try and track that down for you.
It's a different division within the planning
Yeah.
department that takes those to the Board of Adjustment. So we're not usually involved.
It's our zoning team usually takes Board of Adjustment cases, so I'm just not up on every Board of Adjustment case, but
Yeah, so a question, would there be a public record on how many times this went to Board of Adjustments and what the outcome was?
yeah, that's all public record. I think we could probably compile that pretty easily. But
Okay.
yeah, all the Board of Adjustment records are online. All the meetings are posted, but we can find that information and get it to you guys very quickly.
Where does the money go if they pay?
That's a great question. It goes to a tree mitigation fund. That it goes to parks for replanting of trees throughout the city. Ideally in places that would be beneficial to the public. But yes, it goes into a fund. So we have had cases where folks have paid $500,000 in a tree mitigation payment on a development.
Not to be a smart ass, but judging by the amount of trees taken down in the last year, just driving around town within the city. It's gotta be a lot of money in there.
We've had some big ones recently, yeah. And you know, each site is so different than another. There would be certain sites where you would think they have a lot of mitigation, but depending on the type of tree that is out there, the size and the species, it really varies from site to site.
So if it's just scrub trees, it's nothing.
Right.
So do you have a list of the species that are under regulation?
Yes, everything on that table right there.
I'm blind, so I can't see that, that's why.
No, yeah, and we can get that to you. But essentially for significance, it's basically dogwoods, magnolias, ornamental flowering trees, and hollies over 8 inches. And then it moves up to hardwood trees, longleaf pines over 18 inches. And then other pine trees over 24 inches are all significant trees. And then our specimen trees are the live oak, pond cypress, bald cypress, and longleaf pine over 24 inches. So we're taking that information in at TRC, looking at the site plan and seeing their tree inventory and doing that calculation as part of the review. So here's my example site plan, which is expertly drawn, as you can tell. But essentially to give you an idea of what we're looking at on a site plan, somebody comes in with a tree survey. We're looking at, okay, the green are the regulated trees that can be removed without penalty, without a mitigation requirement. The yellow that I've shown up there are significant trees within the parking area and the building footprint that have to be mitigated. And then I've shown a longleaf pine that's 26 inches and a live oak that is 25 inches that are specimen trees. So I show this, and it's intentional kind of how I've shown where these trees are, but through our review process in the TRC, if we have a 25-inch live oak that's on the edge of a parking area, that's a specimen tree. They'd have to go to Board of Adjustment to get it removed. However, when we're in the TRC, we look for ways, well, maybe we can make this parking island here. If there's an island at the end of each row, you go to parking lots that are built throughout the city, you see at the end of each row, there's a parking island with a tree in it. How can we incorporate that live oak into that island to maybe save that tree and not, one, they don't have to mitigate it. We keep a great tree that's there, and it's that back and forth with the applicant that we try and do to make that work. And then I show the longleaf pine that's outside of the site, but near the building. We look at ways, well, maybe we can reduce setbacks to shift the building over more further away from that longleaf pine to try and save that bigger tree if we can. Just a few different ways that we try throughout the review process to save some of these trees where possible.
So Patrick, another question I have, on the site survey, does anybody ever do spot checks on any of the site surveys to ensure that what the surveys say, what they're claiming is what's actually on the ground? I'm not saying that people maliciously do things. It's just, you have 3 different types of people doing the surveys. You have an arborist versus a surveyor and versus a planner. So each one of these people have different understandings of what trees are. I'm just curious if there's any spot checking to ensure that there's some sort of consistency between the 3.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we don't have staff that can go out there for every plan and confirm every tree
Yeah.
that's surveyed. So we have to take the person who certified the survey. I mean, they're putting their stamp and seal on it, so we have to take that and understand that they're putting their professional license on that plan, that it's correct. There have been cases where we've gone out and along with urban forestry and looked at sites and realized there have been mistakes and had them update and redo a tree survey. It's really case by case basis depending on
Yep.
what's being shown. But we have really reinforced recently that whoever is submitting the tree survey, it's got to be a licensed arborist, a licensed urban forester, or landscape architect. They're certifying the surveyor's survey that everything is correct. So there is a professional who understands trees certifying that this is correct. It's not just a surveyor who may not be trained and know the difference between a laurel oak and a live oak.
Right.
The difference between the two, they're certifying that it is correct. So it's another level of assurances that we're trying to get with these plans when they come in.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yep, no problem. So another acronym to throw at you, the CRZ, the critical root zone of a tree is a regulation we have. It's the 1.25 feet for every inch of trunk diameter from the center of the tree. So it extends out from the tree. We limit the amount of disturbance within the critical root zone of the tree. And in our TRC process, we try and look for ways to reduce the impacts where possible for trees, for trees in the critical root zone, and really try and work around them to ensure that the trees that are saved on site are able to survive and thrive once the project is built. So
Can you repeat the critical,
Yeah.
the measurement of the
Yep.
critical root zone?
it's 1.25 feet for every inch of trunk diameter. And the limit of disturbance within that critical root zone, so you kind of draw that circle around the tree, is 20%. So that's our limit on disturbance. If you go beyond that, try and work with you to try and save the tree, even if you go to 30%. But if it's a significant tree, we make you mitigate the tree as if you were taking it out. Even if
So Patrick, just to put some logic around it, if we have a 50-inch diameter tree, that means that the critical root zone would be about 62.5 feet. So is that the total diameter of the circle, or is it 62.5 feet from the base of the tree each way?
Radius
around the tree, I always get them confused. Yeah,
Okay, so
from the trunk.
distance from
Okay.
the trunk.
okay, so 62.5 feet radius around the tree. Okay, that's a lot.
It is, yes.
Not quite enough.
So we've kind of hit on tree preservation. I want to talk a little bit about landscaping requirements and things within our code that require plantings for new developments and how we regain some of that canopy that's lost with development that we see. So within Article 5 of our Land Development Code, about half of that Article 5 is landscaping requirements and tree preservation. We have streetscape landscaping, which is along all the street frontages that is required to be planted. I'll go into more detail on that in the next slide. We have parking lot landscaping. So for your parking lots, we require a certain shading percentage. We require perimeter landscaping if you're adjacent to other parking lots, and we require parking lot screening for lots that are close to the right of way to avoid headlights and glare going out into the road. We also require transitional buffers. This is where you have a development going next to, your heavier commercial going next to residential zoning. There's a buffer required between the two. Foundation plantings, which are around the base of the building, probably things you don't really think of when you're walking into a new business or something, but you see them, you got the plants out front as you walk in. And then street trees, which are in the right of way, between the area between the back of the curb of the road and then the sidewalk, you'll see street trees along the right of way. And then other things like open space requirements, which are required for some of our residential developments. And then the maintenance of trees once these are planted in a development, how they're maintained, and if they end up dying, they've got to be replanted. You can't just go in there and stick a bunch of dead trees in a parking lot and they all die and you're free to continue on. No, you've got to go back in and plant them and make sure they survive.
So, question, so as far as this parking lot landscaping.
Yeah.
For instance, where off of College, where Home Goods, TJ Maxx, that whole, this was not in effect when that was built, was it?
Very much not in effect. And you can tell when you go out there because
It's horrible.
it's not, it doesn't exist.
And all along, okay.
And
So when did that become a requirement?
so the land development code that we currently have was adopted in 2021. However, the previous land development code still required that. But a lot of those areas were built prior to even that coming into effect, which I think was in the 80s, I believe, mid 80s, that the city adopted it. And over time, it's been amended and changed multiple times over the years to really beef up the standards. But yes, you go to there like Walmart there's little shading out there at all. It's a sea of asphalt.
So for instance, all that particular area would be considered grandfathered in. They would never have to be required to do anything.
Unless they knocked it all down and rebuilt.
And rebuild. And
Yep.
then they would, kind of like maybe the Kmart area,
I was
if they
just gonna
mark
say
that building, would that building have to come down for
Um,
all that to
if
change?
if they did any like repurposing of the parking area,
Like
they
repaving it?
they could repave it, but if
They
they
did
came in
that.
and redeveloped it completely and were like, oh, we want to change the entire design of it, we'd say you have to do the parking lot landscaping that's required now by code. But you can see the difference kind of, when you go out to those places, then you look at Mayfair, which was built under the old code,
Oh, okay.
but it still had the landscaping requirements for the parking lots, which are, you notice the difference out there. And a lot of the trees planted out there have matured nicely. So you can see the difference in timelines there. And unfortunately, we get to enact this code when something new comes in. So it's kind of a give and take. But I'll go into the parking lot requirements here a little bit too. But streetscape, so new development comes in along a right of way, they're required to plant a certain number of trees and shrubs along the right of way on their property. This is all on private property. Depending on where they are, inside the 1945 corporate limits or outside, but typically, let's just say outside the 45 limits, because we don't see too much in the urban area downtown that would really apply. You're required for every 100 linear feet of frontage along a road, 1 canopy tree, 6 understory trees, and 9 shrubs.
Where are you?
I'm sorry, right in this table here.
Okay.
So if you're outside, if you were the Kmart, if you came in as the Kmart, let's say, and they redeveloped that site along the College Road frontage for, let's say they have 300 feet of frontage, I don't know how to put this, but they would be required 3 canopy trees, 18 understory, and 27 shrubs. So that's just along the streetscape is what we call it. So it's the first 15 feet along the right of way on their property. They're required to do that planting. Then they will have to come in and do parking lot landscaping. This is a ton of information. I'm trying to, I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but basically you have to have a planting at the end of every parking row, and it's got to be a canopy tree at the end of every row of parking. Each tree can't be more than 70 feet from a canopy tree. You have to provide 1 canopy tree for every 12 parking spaces. And then you have to meet the shading requirements. So again, if you're in the outside, if you're the Kmart site, you have to shade 30% of your parking area with trees. There's certain calculations for what each tree counts for shading percentage. And I don't want to go too far into that, but essentially it's going to look like something like that diagram where you've got canopy trees around the perimeter and along your islands to try and meet that.
And this is for any commercial,
Right.
Parking lot.
Commercial, multifamily,
Family.
things like that. Yeah. Anything with a dedicated parking area has to meet these requirements. And we have to factor in, sometimes you're not always going to see the plantings because they keep trees out there, which we're trying to, like the live oak example I gave earlier on that beautiful site plan I drew. We try and preserve those trees where we can in parking islands, and they wouldn't have to plant. So that's another aspect of it. Kind of going into the permitting, I think we all know here, don't cut a tree down without calling our department first. It's something we've still struggle with some folks to try and, educate them. And I know we try the best we can. I think we're going to try sending out some more information again, just reminding people call before you cut, especially in certain areas like historic districts, vacant lots, our conservation resource areas, which are environmentally sensitive areas.
Isn't that all of Wilmington? And how do you decide?
Very, very, very close. Yeah, we have conservation resource areas, are areas within a certain distance to wetlands. And sorry.
So how do you know if you're in a conservation resource area?
That's a good question. If you have on your property or adjacent to your property any 404 wetlands, coastal wetlands, things like that, there's a buffer setback from those. It's one of those things where it's an education thing. People definitely call before cutting in those areas. People really don't know if they are. It usually takes a survey to try and determine where that line is and where it stops from the resource.
So wetlands, but not waterways. So not
Tidal creeks, things like that are included. Yeah.
So Patrick,
Yes.
just to clarify, now, if a vacant lot is less than an acre, does it still need a permit?
Yes.
Okay. The same within a conservation resource area. If it's less than an acre, it still needs a permit.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
I hit on this a little bit, but the criteria for removing a regulated tree, we talked about the essential site improvements, which are your parking, your building, stormwater facilities, things like that. The health of the tree, if the tree is impacting infrastructure such as utilities, if it's not safe, and sometimes if the removal is necessary to enhance the health of adjacent trees or properties. So those are the things that we look at when a tree permit comes in. Typically, this is done through our zoning division, not through my team as the TRC. The essential site improvements do come into effect in the health of the trees. But a lot of those are handled through our zoning folks, our zoning enforcement officers, and the city arborists and their team looking at each tree as it comes in, each tree permit, and assessing the application accordingly. And then I just wanted to point out a few development tracking resources. We've got a few out there right now. We have a development and permitting services website, and I can probably have Haley email you that link to go out there. You can see all of our new projects that have come in. You can see where they're at in the review process, the comments that we've posted, all the site plans that are under review. And then we have a development tracker map that is for some of our older projects that are currently under development that you can go and see the approved plans. We can send both of those links out to you all. And we're working on trying to get a new map that is a little more inclusive, but we just have some limitations with our new software that we have switched to. That hopefully we'll get something a little more interactive and inclusion. I guess includes more plans and older plans together. But we're still working on that. But we'll send those links out to you so you can send them out to your friends. I know we get a lot of calls, people asking us, you know, what's going on here, what are the plans, where is it at in the process. So we like to point people here where we can. And we do have some public comment, new subscription. For Planning Commission, we have public comment forms. You can go on our website and comment on projects that are going through the Planning Commission process, the rezoning process. We also have an email update, kind of like a newsletter that goes out where you can subscribe for updates from the city as well to get your updates. I think it's good for people to take advantage of those. I think a lot of people kind of, it's not that they want to be involved, they want to know what's going on, but sometimes it's a little tricky to get them there. So I think the more folks that get it out to them and send it out and make folks aware of what's going on, it helps with the public input process. I think that's it. So I know I like I said, I glossed over like a whole section of code in 15 or 20 minutes or so. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I know it's a lot of information. We can send this out as well for y'all to take a look at.
I have a question going back to like the first slide.
Okay.
And it's where you, I believe it was the first slide, where it showed the blue area right there.
Yeah.
So are you saying that anything outside of that blue area is not part of anything that you do?
Right up.
It's not us, it would be the county
The
or
county.
one of the other jurisdictions.
So just out of curiosity, so where all those trees were cut down at the old Galleria going towards Wrightsville Beach, that's what outside of that blue area.
No, that's within the city.
Oh, it is within?
That is within the city. Yep.
I happen to have brought an article about that in Wrightsville Beach Magazine.
So did they pay the money that,
I believe there was mitigation that was done or
It's in
replanting.
that article.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
It's a good article.
but yeah, that site was annexed in to the city from Wrightsville Beach. It was previously. Not Wrightsville Beach.
Oh, okay.
It is, since you bring it up, it's important to remember that what's considered the city of Wilmington did not cross College Road, did not go east of College Road until after 1980.
Right, yeah.
So
I mean, yeah.
a lot of, particularly the residential development that exists east of College Road was built under county rules, if there were any, and then annexed into the city later post-construction.
That's my neighborhood,
Okay.
Longley Fields. That was east. That is east, right? Yeah, that's the east.
Yes.
That'd be east.
And there's been changes to annexation statutes with the state as well. The cities can't go out and involuntarily annex areas into, like the city's done over time, that now it has to be voluntary annexation. So property owners have to come to us to ask to be annexed into the city, where it used to be the city could go out and that's how you, like Travis mentioned, we went east of college back in the 80s, but go ahead.
That's how you end up with these little
Yes.
satellites.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So like right here,
Huh.
that's the Publix at Market and Middletown.
Yeah.
And this is it Amberley Shores out?
Amberley Shores.
okay, it's a lake.
So Publix asked to be part of the city?
Yes.
What was the reason? You know?
They wanted to pay more taxes.
That was before my time too. I'm not sure the history on that one.
Weird.
So they wanted to be guided by the city regulations of zoning and development, and there could also have been financial incentives as a result of it. And then there's also they just annexed another one along Middle Sound Loop Road, which was a apartment complex. So, yeah,
I think there was some city funding that they were looking to take advantage of for affordable housing for that project. It was already approved in the county.
Yeah.
But yeah, they asked to be annexed in to, I think, get some funding for affordable housing.
correct. Yeah, because of workforce housing and stuff. Yep.
Right.
So yeah, so back to the Galleria, just out of curiosity, when was that approved for development? Was that approved before 2021?
It's in that article.
Here.
Originally, I believe it was, but they've gone through, I haven't reviewed that project. They've gone through various revisions and re-revisions
Okay.
to that plan. But I think it was originally rezoned into the city in the mid 2010s, 2015.
2013.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, there's I don't know if this is something off the top of your, oh, thank you, off the top of your head, but on Wilshire Avenue, right from Wrightsville to Wilshire, there's Page Avenue. And if you go, they've started clearing this big, huge piece of land right at the end of Page Avenue that they're putting commercial something in. And my question is that, what you were gonna send us where we can look at things, I guess that's where I could go and see, because, I mean, there were massive 100-year-old magnolia trees on that property.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it. Project by project, my memory is a little fuzzy sometimes. But
Yeah, well, sure, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was but that's where I would go to look at what's actually going on. Yes.
Pointed that out when we did
Oh,
that,
you should see
that
it
tree
now.
on Page.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should see it. It's really sad. But it is what it is.
yeah, that would be on. So you can take a look at the plans, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other questions for Travis and Patrick?
It was really interesting, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, just reach out if you have any more questions. We're happy to help.
It's impressive how comprehensive it is and what a thorough job you've done.
Yeah,
I'm really impressed.
yeah.
Thank you. So, all right. So, I don't know if Travis and Patrick, you want to stay for the rest of the meeting or if you want to, head out. I know you guys are busy,
Getting kicked out.
so. I'm not to try to interrupt the meeting here, but, yeah, we can understand if you need to leave, so.
Thank you.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is Heritage Tree Program. Right now, we don't have any applicants to be reviewed. And yeah, so other than that, what else is next is next on the agenda is where are we on oops. Is strategic plan updates. So community education to the public. Do we have any updates on that or are we still in process on that? And is there anybody assigned to do this, Haley, or do we just
Yeah,
I'm
at
just
the last meeting, Bridget agreed to look into the local nurseries, which was the follow-up item on this, but she is not in attendance today.
Okay. Okay. All right. So Bridget, great. Thank you. Tree ordinance and enforcement. Thank you, the planners for that. We got a current update on that. And then I know the Alliance for Cape Fear Trees is working on a presentation about canopies and just guidance on, well, thoughts on ways to help to improve canopy and that sort of thing. But no one from the Alliance is here today unless I'm missing somebody. But is there any other follow-up on this?
Isabel is not in attendance today.
Right, okay. Yep. So next one is partnership and collaboration. So I know Rhonda, thank you for spearheading, gathering the information on volunteer hours and that sort of thing, and appreciate the help on that. So I don't know if you have any updates on that, or if you need additional information or are waiting for additional information.
I still have, I don't have a list of committee members, so I'm not sure exactly who I haven't heard from, but I'm sure there are people that haven't responded yet.
Okay. All right, Haley, can you give Rhonda a list of the committee members and we'll take it from there. Anything else on partnerships and collaborations we want to talk about?
The only other thing is I think going forward, it makes more sense to take this data when it's happening instead of trying to retroactively create it. So if we can have like every event, have somebody be in charge of who's gonna like either having people sign in or something so that they're keeping track of that data. Maybe we can, I don't know if there's a way to make a phone, like a shareable doc that we can use. And then that way we don't have to worry about getting a clipboard or anything. I don't know.
Yeah. We have done sign up sheets on the Google Drive before. They haven't been used too much, but we can try that or something easier on your phone if that's easier, but.
Yeah, just if we can figure out something that's standard and then make sure every time we have an event, somebody's in charge of it, that would be of making sure that it gets done. And then that way we don't have to, because this is difficult to do it this way, much harder than if we actually had the data.
Yep, I understand. It took me a little bit to compile all the things I did over the past year. Yeah. All right. So anything else on strategic plan updates? Okay. Next one was Alliance for Cape Fear Trees updates. I don't see anybody on here. Just out of curiosity, who is MNMM?
Sorry, that's Matthew Moore. That's me.
Matthew. Okay, sorry. Sorry. I thought it was a candy, M&M.
Yeah, no, those are my full initials. It's Matthew Nicholas Marco Moore, but next time I'll join as Matt.
No problem. No problem. Understood. Understood. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is new business. So I have signed up for Fire in the Pines, and it's from 9 a.m. in the morning to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And last year, Kate and I had a table there, and we had information about the Wilmington Tree Commission. We had brochures that we handed out. And then Kate did a fabulous job engaging the children through having all different tree leaves and then having them actually draw or etch the trees onto paper. And a lot of the children really loved it. And a lot of the parents said, I haven't done this in years. So I think it was an excellent program that Kate pulled together. And, so therefore, what we need to do is develop our plan for how are we going to manage the Fire in the Pines, and is there anything we want to focus on besides child engagement or anything else there from just having information available to the public about the Wilmington Tree Commission.
What date is it again?
October 4th.
October 4th, it's a Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm having a yard sale. Do that.
I can be there at 9 to help set up.
Okay.
Can we have handouts on the native 10 best plant list for people?
Yeah. Yes, we'll do that.
Yeah. Rural 17th Street Extension.
Tom, I can also be there. My email, has been getting full lately, and sometimes I don't always receive emails on events, but I think you have my number. I sent you my name. If I get a reminder the day before or something like that, I can be there to help out with whatever you need.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, if we get enough volunteers, we don't have to be there the whole day. We can be there in sort of shifts, but
Yeah, exactly.
obviously, if we don't get enough volunteers, um, I'll be more than happy to stay the whole time. It's just, would love to have help and support.
I can come in the afternoon. I have
Okay.
the tree stewardship training in the morning.
Yeah,
Till
no-
noon. So
No
after
problem.
that,
Yeah, I would love to have you in the afternoon. That'd be great. And would also love to hear your feedback on the tree training.
I'll
I'm
tell
a
you
tree,
all about it.
I'm a tree steward and I took the training 2 years ago. So I've been helping out the Alliance for the past couple of years. I'm on a watering schedule with the city. So yeah, so I've been doing that for past couple of years.
Nice.
So
Um,
where
yeah.
would we park and how does that work out? Parking and getting there?
So there's a church that they park at, and you get actually shuttled back and forth from the church. Uh, um, let's see, I just got an email this morning. Um, all right. Yeah, it says here, there is no parking at Halliburton Park. In the morning, you'll drive through to your organization's reserved spot, drop your items off, and then I'll be following up with more information on parking logistics. For your staff that are only there half the day, we'll have shuttle running all day for the public that they can redo. So we'll be parking at the Life Point Church. Thank you there. Haley. Yep.
Does that say, what is that address? 3534 College?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So now, you said 9 to 3. It
Correct.
says on our sheet here 10 to 3. So,
9 a.m. is when we set up.
set up, okay. And we'll be able to get a shuttle that early back over to, the park.
I think so, but I'll double check that.
Okay, because I'm happy to come 9 to 12 if you need me.
Okay. All right.
2 shifts seems to make sense from 9 to 12 and 12 to 3. So if we
Yeah.
could have at least 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon at minimum, that would be great.
Yeah.
Are you tracking who said they had come in?
Yes. Your afternoon, right?
Yeah, but I won't
Oh,
get there at noon. Because
Okay.
it ends at noon, so I'll need time
That's
to
fine.
get, okay, the training.
No worries.
So
all set.
Haley, we're gonna need to have a table and our banner and what other supplies will we need?
Well, if we're gonna do the tree rubbings, we'll need paper. I
Yeah.
still have a big box of crayons, but it's getting a little old. Going to so many events. So
I think we also have a big box of crayons as well.
you have big boxes of crayons and they do get broken and the kids are rubbing and so they peel the paper off.
And then you'll bring a canopy too. I mean, I can pick up the canopy, put it in my car.
Yeah, I can double check and make sure we have one that's available that weekend and let you know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then do we still have brochures that we can hand out?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, so I'll try to make a list of things that we'll need for the Fire in the Pines and then I'll forward it on to you, Haley, and copy everyone else just so that they have it. And then if I've missed anything, let me know.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. All right. And then the next,
The Fire in the Pines?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just gotta figure out transportation and everything.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having a yard sale that
Uh,
day.
No worries, thank you.
Where
Kate.
do you live?
I
Kate.
live on 8th Street.
Kate, I can pick you up if you want to start in the morning or if you,
Okay, that sounds good, Tom.
Okay.
Thank you. It was very heavily attended, wasn't it, Tom?
oh, very much so, yep.
It's
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
It's a huge event.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Alliance for Cape Fruit Trees will be there too, so,
Sharing,
let you know.
they're not gonna share the table with us, are they?
no, we're having our own table.
Yay. Because they take over.
Yeah, we have our own table, so. And then the other thing we want to start planning for is North Carolina Arbor Day. I mean, last year it was sort of towards the more last minute than maybe what we wanted to, but things turned out well. I'm just curious who needs some help in reaching out to a school or somewhere to hopefully a school or someplace, even the MLK Center or whatever, but within the city to actually plant a tree. So I don't know if anybody has any recommendations or thoughts. And it's the third Friday of March. So that's what the day it is every year. So I don't know if anybody has any ins. I mean, preferably, historically, we've always tried to do schools and try to do educational opportunities, but I'm open to that or other areas. I think one year we did do MLK just as because we were at last minute, but if there's ways that we can coordinate with schools, I think that'd be very beneficial to continue promote Arbor Day and also promote, trees with the younger generation.
I believe it's Kathy Luna who has the list of schools that were interested last year.
Okay. All right. I'll reach out to Kathy and find out what we need to do there and see if we can get somebody to get Kathy or someone else to help on that. And then there's also National Arbor Day, which is in April, the third Friday in April. Last year, we went to the MLK Center and did a educational thing on trees. Kate did a wonderful job there too. Thank you, Kate, with your vast experience in education. That was great that kids enjoyed it. So, we're also open to doing, say, another educational type thing for the National Arbor Day too. And then Tree Fest is this January. I was part of the planning process last a couple months ago. So the Tree Fest, what they're looking for is primarily volunteers to help with passing out trees and promoting trees and doing some of the administrative work at the fest. And it's usually 2 to 3 days at I think is it 2 days or 1 day? I don't remember. It's a couple days, so therefore would love to have Wilmington Tree Commission presence there to help out, and that's January, and it's at the mall inside. So yeah, would love to have anybody who wants to who can volunteer. It'd be great.
Do you have an exact date for that yet? Dates? I think it's a Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, I think the date is, let me get to January. I think it might be the 16th, 17th, but I'll double check and I'll forward that on to you.
Okay,
All right.
While we're on that, did you volunteer at that last year?
No, I did not. I did not volunteer for it because I was late in talking to them. So, but I did, I had contacted them last year and said, the Wilmington Tree Commission isn't represented here, and we'd like to get represented here. And so they they included me on all of their planning for this year. So I will, I'll follow up with her. I forget her name off the top of my head, but I'll follow up with her and get all the information we need and how to sign up for volunteers and how they develop their shifts and that sort of thing. So I'll go ahead and do that.
Thank you.
And then, is there any other events that we should be participating in? So I know there's some events at Maids Park. Is that part of the city or is that part of the county?
It's a city park.
That's the city.
City.
Okay. I just was curious if there's events there that are coming up that we might want to participate in. Or if there's other areas of the city we want to also participate, whether or not it's a farmer's market or whether or not it's a, street event or whatever. So I'm just curious what everybody's appetite is and trying to continue to promote the Wilmington Tree Commission and trying to get information out to the community about what the city of Wilmington is doing around trees. So just, yeah, go ahead.
Fest is at Maids Park, I believe on the 10th of October, from 6 to 8 p.m. It's kind of late well, it's not too late in the planning, but I think if you wanted to have a booth there, I can connect you with our folks to do that. It's a very well attended, large, family friendly event.
Okay. What was it again? I'm sorry.
Fall Fest at
Oh,
Maids.
fall. Yeah, gotcha.
October
I don't know.
10th.
It's up to the committee as far as whether or not, we got doing too much in October versus Fire in the Pines and that sort of thing. So I'll leave it up to the committee to decide how we want to proceed. I know it's last minute. Do they have Fall Fest every year?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Sally, is that the one that often happens at Greenfield Lake and other places?
No, specifically at Maids Park.
Where's Maids Park?
It's on Manley Avenue near Glow Academy.
Oh, okay.
Over in the hood.
So, and it's what time? 6 to 8 in the evening?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I know it's October 10th and it's before our next meeting, but why don't we, since we haven't really planned for it, we'll shelve that one, but maybe let's keep that on our watch list for future to see if there's other places like that we can move forward.
Is there any reason why Azalea Festival and River Fest, there's not a table?
They still do River Fest.
Yeah.
So Azalea Fest, is there a central place where everybody congregates, or Azalea Fest is more visiting gardens and that sort of thing? I've never been to the parade or anything, but
Yeah, they have the street fair like they do at River Fest.
Yeah, they
Okay.
have it on, I can't remember the name of that road front, the river, I never remember the name of those roads, but it's the second one up from the river. And they
Okay.
have the whole road shut down. I mean, there's a lot of people there.
Water Street, Front Street.
It's Front Street. Or the last time I went, it was Front Street.
Okay. I mean, if we're interested in doing that, I'm more than happy to support it.
I mean, I think River Fest is too soon at, end of October, but at least put it on to look at for next year.
Yep. Yeah.
Azalea Festival is usually in April though, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's something that might be doable.
It is 3 days of street fair.
For what, Azalea Festival?
Yes.
Yeah.
3 days of street, oh, Friday,
Friday,
Saturday,
Saturday, Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that you can select which days you'd like to be there. We did it for planning and we did all the days. So it is a bigger lift.
It's
if
a
you
lot
are
to cover.
interested. It is
There's
all day.
There's a lot of booths that don't open on Friday. So I feel like you could
Yeah.
skip Friday,
Just use
and
that.
be okay with it, but you'd still have Saturday and Sunday, and that's still a lot.
Yeah,
Do you know
and
when it is this year?
It is, I don't know, it's normally the first weekend in April.
After the azaleas have bloomed.
Yeah.
Always.
It's April 8th through 12th.
I think this is the first year that the azaleas were actually still in bloom. And it was because we had such a mono.
well, so we also have Earth Day Festival in April too. So,
Birthday festival is April 18th this year.
yeah,
April 18th.
yeah. And this year we're planning to have our own booth for Earth Day. Yeah. And you know, the other thing is I know that the Alliance for Cape Fear Trees gave out tree seedlings last year. I don't know if we want to figure out if there's a way we can get tree seedlings or whatever else, but I know they got pines. I don't know if we want to get some other seedlings that are different, but I don't know if, again, they got them through the U.S. Forest Service, and those requirements started, I guess, a couple months ago. So I don't know if we're late to the table, but anyway, yeah.
Well,
Plus,
last month Isabel was saying that, I'm gonna have to do with, Everett Jones,
yeah, Bartlett tree. Yes.
Bartlett, they're giving them out, that you just have to ask him.
Okay. All right. I will see, but yeah, we'll go ahead and see what we can do there. But yeah, I think giving away trees would also be benefit on Earth Day too. But I think we shouldn't give away the same trees that Alliance for Cape Fear Trees are. But you know, maybe if that's the only thing we can do, we'll do that. And then, you know, as from a budget perspective, I don't know if they're free or whether or not we have to pay for them. So that's the other thing we'd have to understand.
I think sometimes you can get them from the Arbor Day Foundation as well, but I don't have any.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So yeah, so I guess, you know, Riverfest we're not going to do because it's so close, but we'll put it on for the horizon. The other thing is Fall Fest. We're not going to do, but we can put it on the horizon for next year and determine. But Fire in the Pines we're definitely doing in October, so we'll focus in on that. Tree Fest, I'll get more information on that. North Carolina Arbor Day, I'll talk to Kathy on that. National Arbor Day, we're open to suggestions on that. So if anybody has any ideas. And then Earth Day Festival, we're also going to do. And then as far as Azalea Fest, let's have that topic of discussion at our next meeting.
Okay.
Anything else in new business?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
ahead.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I had the opportunity through Alliance for Cape Fear Trees and Margie Herring to do a lecture to a garden club in Charlotte on our best native tree list. And this was the first I put together a PowerPoint with assistance. It's not the most beautiful thing I've ever done, but it's pretty beautiful. But I really want to take that information out to the community. So anybody else that knows of opportunities. And also, Tom, we always used to do the Native Tree Festival that's happening like next weekend or something, this coming weekend. They don't have the same on-site at the Arboretum, but they do have other places that people go, especially Meg Shelton's herb farm over at the bridge. And we did get a lot of people coming to our booth when we did it, but we don't have the booth now. They have the lectures at the Arboretum for Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, I don't know. Do we want to have any handouts there, or do we want to have any presence at the herb farm or anything? Do you think?
Yeah. So tonight actually starts the Native Plant Fest at the Arboretum with, there's presentations tonight, tomorrow night, and I think Friday night at the Arboretum for Plant Fest. Now, so yeah, so it's sort of very last minute. And I mean, the Shelton Herb Farm, there's 4 or 5 places where the native plant fest is happening, and it's mostly at nurseries or garden supply stores. So, you know, the reason why we stopped is when I first did it, it was all at the Arboretum. So we just sat at the Arboretum and provided information and talked to the public. Now it's very diversified, and the big thing is that's the information I have, and I don't know how we can pull together at this last minute and do something unless someone has the energy to do it. So
I thought we talked last month about just putting brochures at the Arboretum. Yeah, okay.
And does anybody have a connection to, I know Valerie Robertson that pulls a lot of this together, but at the Arboretum, they have a new director, a new person with master gardeners. Does anybody know those people?
Yeah, I know Amy Mead, so I can talk to Amy Mead and see, but what is it that we want to do?
Yeah, I think handouts is always good, and or at least how to get to our website,
Yep.
and I want to get on the lecture list so that we can give our 10 best lecture now that it's gotten started to be a PowerPoint. I mean, it is a PowerPoint. It's just the first lecture I gave was only 20 minutes, so I could only have 22 slides. I'd rather have like 40 slides. Every day.
Sally, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Sally, where's the meeting tonight? Is it in here?
It's downstairs.
In the copy room? Yes, I won't comment. Okay. Sorry, excuse me.
We do have a hard stop at 11,
Okay.
but got about 2 more minutes for any other new business.
Okay, this will be quick. So a while ago, we got a letter from a UNCW professor, Monica Rother, to support their grant to study the ghost forest along the Cape Fear. Y'all remember this?
Yep.
Their article was published in August. So it's out if you are interested in reading it, and I'm working with them on an article to go in the Coastal Review, which I'm sending off today, so we'll see if they accept it or not, but that is
Great.
all.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you all, and we'll follow up with additional items as a result of this meeting. And appreciate everybody's help and support.